We're good. All right. Calling to order the City of Plymouth's Planning Commission meeting for September 18th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Members of the public not attending in person may submit written comment prior to the meeting by emailing your comment to the planning clerk at dnight@cityofplymouth.org before 3:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Emailed public comments will be distributed to the commission and made part of the official record. This meeting will be recorded. Council chambers are wheelchair accessible. Special accommodations may be requested by contacting the planning clerk 72 hours in advance of the meeting. Please silence your cell phones and similar devices. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Here.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Here.
Chair Sullivan.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Great. Let's all rise for the flag salute. All right, that was item number one. Now on to item number two, which is approval of the Planning Commission regular meeting agenda for September 18th, 2025. Is there any public comment for just having to do with the actual agenda itself, not the items on the agenda? Anything from anybody? All right. Any written public comment?
Not for this item.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move we approve the Planning Commission regular meeting agenda for September 18th, 2025.
Second.
All right. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Mickelson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Aye.
Chair Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Great, thank you. And then number three, general public comment. So for public comment here under provisions of the government code, citizens wishing to address the commission for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time by completing and submitting a speaker submittal form to the planning clerk or following the instructions noted on this agenda. Speakers will be called by the chair at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers should keep comments to 3 minutes or less and state their name and community of residence. Under provisions of the California Government Code, the commission is prohibited from materially discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or an urgent need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Is there anyone in City Hall that would like to make a public comment about things that aren't on the agenda today? All right. I'm going to close public comment then. Move on to number four, which is presentations and appointments, which I believe we have none, correct? And then consent calendar items under number 5. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is required, that particular item will be removed from the consent calendar, will be considered separately. So under the consent calendar, we have 5.1, which is approval of the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes from August 21st. Is there anyone in City Hall that would like to make a public comment on those minutes from the August 21st meeting? All right. Any written comments?
Not for this item.
All right. How about a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Aye.
Chair Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Great. On to number 6, public hearing. And this is a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Plymouth approving a temporary use permit, PA 2025-12, to allow a temporary Halloween attraction on a 30-acre parcel located at 9424 Pacific Street, which is assessor's parcel number 010-150-016. And the recommendation on that is to hold a public hearing and receive public testimony, review and discuss the resolution, which is 2025-10. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, and our planner Erica will begin by giving us a presentation.
Before I start, you did get a number of written comments. Do you want to read them before we start, or if you haven't read them? I'm just checking.
I'll read them closer to public comment time.
The permit before you is a temporary use permit. Temporary use permits are typically reviewed by me, the director who issues the decision, but in this case, because it's in a residential neighborhood, it is quite unique for the city. I elevated it to the planning commission as I can for review and approval. A temporary use permit is for a set period of time, and this one is till the end of October. So it's for this year only, and if they wanted to continue to operate in subsequent years, they would have to get a permit the following year, the following year after that. But this is for a set period of time only. The map before you is the project area. The Haunted Forest is on a 30-acre parcel. The parcel is developed with parking area and was formerly a truss factory for many years. Obviously, the truss factory closer to Pacific, and then the land extends quite far beyond. 30 acres is a large size parcel, and the attraction will be throughout that larger area. There are some single-family residential houses in the area. The closest one is about 150 feet from the property line, and then they spread out further from that. There's some other more industrial type uses that are closer. There's like a tow yard and other items. This property used to be zoned industrial. So it seems to be a little confusing. It used to be zoned industrial. And in 2014, when we amended the zoning ordinance and amended the zoning map to conform to the 2009 general plan, we also ended up rezoning this to residential, even though it had been used for industrial uses throughout most of its life that we're aware of. Their operations are proposed Wednesday through Saturday. They have a family-friendly daytime activities for children, and then they have the scaring time in the evening. They are proposing 7 p.m. to midnight for the evening activities. I did recommend, and it's in your conditions of approval, that Wednesday and Thursday be limited to 10 p.m. because it is a residential neighborhood. However, again, this is your decision, so you could disagree with me and allow them to go to midnight, or you could further limit their hours should you choose to do so. No permanent structures are proposed. They're building temporary scenes and sets, and they'll have actors. None of those things require a building permit. They will have food trucks. They estimate 2 to 3 food trucks, and then they will have timed entry. So timed entry and you need to purchase your tickets in advance. So every 15 minutes, they will limit the entrance to 45 people. But that's people, not cars. So then cars will be further restricted from there. I averaged, guessing maybe 3 people per car. It could be, 4 or more. Again, they're using the existing parking and shade area, which is the former truss factory area, and then they'll have some overflow parking as well, further away from Pacific Street. They plan on employing 30 to 40 seasonal employees. They will have security personnel that's staged throughout, and there's more information in their statement of operations that's included with the staff report. They have prepared an emergency plan. That emergency plan was reviewed by our fire prevention officer, and she did approve it. The sheriff's office, to my understanding, has also gone out there and walked the site and has no concerns with it. And we'll have additional patrols, not at a cost to the city, but we'll have additional patrols in the area as necessary. There are 2 conditions of approval that are in the resolution. One is that they are required to have insurance and name the city as an additional policy holder. This is actually a standard condition of approval for all temporary use permits. And then they will be required to indemnify the city. So those 2 conditions are in there. As far as circulation goes, the way that staff is recommending is that they will enter and exit onto Pacific, and I'll show you a map in a second. But they will create a one-way path of travel for the site. or for the project. They will have on-site attendants assisting cars with parking. And then again, they do have an existing parking area and they'll have overflow parking, which will accommodate the patrons to the site. And this is where you can see their site entrance in relation to Highway 49 and Pacific Street. Entering in at the southern portion of Pacific, exiting on the northern portion of Pacific. They have one entrance onto their site and then they have one exit. So cars will form a U-shaped pattern when entering and leaving. This is a blow up of their on-site proposed circulation. It will be on their site. Staff did add a very long condition into the resolution to ensure that circulation wouldn't be a problem. This is all the measures that we're recommending. I won't read them verbatim, but we're asking for signage to clearly state where entrances are, and then where no entry is, because we don't want anyone trying to move into another location. A sign at Highway 49 providing direction. And then, of course, employees helping and assisting with the parking, which their plan is to do so anyways. And then, again, it's a temporary use permit, but there is a condition in there that if at any point we observe a problem, we'll work with the property owner to rectify it, and they will need to incorporate those measures into their operations to ensure there's no impacts. There is a dust control plan in their project application. A phase 1 environmental assessment analysis was done as part of the project. The ESA determined that there would be no negative impacts on the site or the surrounding area with implementation of the measures that are in the ESA. Those requirements or those recommended dust control measures are included as a condition of approval number 14. Obviously, the site is rough graded, but it's not paved over. So there would be some dust impacts. So there's a number of things they would have to do to limit dust impacts on the patrons as well as the surrounding area. The project was noticed in accordance with state law. It was both published in the newspaper and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of the site. Staff did actually mail the notices earlier than is required, just so we could give people enough time to contact us, submit any public comment that they may have, or ask questions. We did receive several comments. There are, I believe, 3 letters that were included with the staff report. And then we received a number of comments, written comments today. Those comments are both for and against the project. And with 3 of the comments that were in the packet that you have, the staff report, the commenters then commented again as part of this, reversing their earlier opinion. So we do have a number of comments on the project, and obviously there's a number of people in the audience that I'm sure have comments as well. This project is exempt from CEQA due to its temporary nature. There are no permanent structures. There's no mass grading. There's nothing that would trigger CEQA in and of itself. And then further, subsection E of class 4 exempts minor temporary uses from CEQA requirements. So carnivals, things of that nature are exempt from CEQA. Staff is recommending approval, but of course this is the Planning Commission's decision. We have included a resolution with the conditions of approval that I mentioned, approving the haunted forest. It is temporary, again. So this gives us a chance to, if anything goes wrong next year or goes wrong with this, we can impose additional conditions next year, or you could deny it next year. You're not bound by this decision in any future way. But you do have several options. One is to approve as recommended by staff. The second is to approve with modified conditions. You could continue the public hearing to a date certain if there was additional information that you wanted, or you could deny the temporary use permit. And that concludes my presentation. If you have specific questions for me, or you can ask them later.
Not yet from me. How about you guys? Yeah, thank you very much. All right, so we received several public comments as mentioned, and just so people out watching on YouTube and anybody who might have submitted something in here is aware, we get these things in advance and we all read them in advance. We get them by email as they come in, but also the ones that come in very late on the day of the meeting, we get them in a packet here and come in and read them. So I do want to thank everybody who submitted something. We did receive a letter from Lindsay Clark and Clayton Morris, Samantha Churcher and James Tokovich, Mel and Patricia Crossart, and Maria Jacqueline Lopez Morales, Carlos David Morales, and Rocio Lopez Vega, who are all residents of Plymouth, as well as a number of correspondence from Elizabeth Chapin Pinotti, Steve Pinotti, Anonymous, Kristen Welch, and John Colburn. So we did all read all of these. I'm not going to necessarily read what they're all about here, but they will be included in the record and definitely considered. And I appreciate the people who took the time to write those thoughtful letters. So after that, we have public comment. Are the applicants here wishing to comment? I think we'll start with the applicants if that's appropriate. Okay. Who wants to go first? Absolutely. Just come on up and push the little microphone button when you're speaking, and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
My name's Sam Maynard and my wife is with me, Shireen.
Hi, my name is Shireen.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you, staff, for all of your support and what a great job you did putting this together. We really appreciate it. And I just would like to introduce many of our family members are here and their wives and our single daughter and our grandchild. So we're grateful for their support. We're thankful for many of our neighbors on Pacific Street who are here to support the project as well. And we're so grateful for everyone, whether they're for or against the Haunted Forest, to support public comment. We're very grateful for that. One thing we'd like to mention before we continue is we've been successfully operating this exact business in the town of Winters for about 10 or 12 years with about 8 non-consecutive years. So sometimes we skip a year or two, like during COVID, for example. And our mayor, the mayor of Winters, wrote a letter, part of our application, who just wished they could keep us in Winters, but we were leasing property and we wanted to find a property that we could be a little bit more permanent on. And so that's why we came to Plymouth to open our business here. And we appreciate the opportunity to present this application and to bring an amazing attraction. Before I turn some time over to Shireen, I would just love for everyone to consider going on to our website and also to our Google website and read the raving reviews from our customers. This event is like no other. It's not like a normal haunted house that's full of gory, satanic, weird stuff. It's nothing like that. It's a trail in the open, and that makes it scary itself. But we're obviously, as you can tell by our family, we're a very family-oriented company, and we pride ourselves in giving back to the community and giving back to our patrons, and just want to express that yes, it's Halloween and it's scary, but it is a really great event, and it's not your typical haunted house-ish crowd. Everyone who comes to our events pre-purchases their tickets. We don't take walk-ins. They've been planning for a week or 2 or 3 with their families to come. They make a night of it. They visit the businesses downtown. They purchase the gas. They eat out at the restaurants. They drink the wine. They stay at the hotels and the Airbnbs. In the city of Winters, where we've operated, the entire town comes alive. You should read the mayor's letter. It's unbelievable how much business flows through Winters when we do it. In winter. So I'd just like to turn a few minutes over to Shireen, if that's okay.
Yeah, just a minute. Just as so the people who are here, like we said, opposing or in favor of the Haunted Forest, that we have two things that happen. One, as Sam said, the Haunted Forest is a little bit different of an attraction. It's, I would call it a very classy outdoor attraction. And that's why the demographics actually attract more than half our people. A lot of them are over 40 or 50 years old that come. So they're looking for classy, fun, Halloween festive things to do. We have never just, I know that there's been some concern for the public about like the disregard of advertising and stuff like that. We meant no disrespect to that prior to this. We just know what it takes to reach the level of staff that we need. And it normally means to get the word out. We've already met amazing people, over like 70 people from Amador County that have come, auditioned, hired, and got the lowdown. And so we want the public to know one reason why we do that is we have a high standard of who we're interacting with during that month. We don't just hire anyone. Another thing is that our Enchanted Forest is a daytime event, which is super fun for families and kids to be able to come to. And they get to go through the forest without the scares, and it turns magical. And so if you're going through a scene at night, obviously it's gonna be scary, but to be able to be going through and finding all those things that they have on their little scavenger list, and interacting with some of the fun characters. And so that's what we do in the daytime. And that's something we're very passionate about. Sam and I, as a family that has 4 kiddos, as the years have gone up and as we've raised them, we were able to see and have such a passion for outdoor things that we do as a family. We're a very outdoorsy family. And that's where this began to grow. And so to have that 2 sides of Enchanted Forest and Haunted Forest. And then the other thing I just wanted to say to everyone here, we are so excited to be here in Plymouth. We are small town people ourselves, so we know how that can roll. And we just hope that people would give us a chance to get to know us and understand our operations, our high level business. We have other businesses we run, and we are ones that consider that. And we want people to know here that we want this to be top notch and something that Plymouth is so proud of. So that's our hope. Thank you.
Any questions?
Not yet, but you're sticking around, right?
Yep, we're here.
Great.
Yeah.
Does anyone else from your company wish to speak? Okay, just making sure. Is there anybody else that wants? Go ahead.
My name's Kendall Maynard. I'm second son to Sam and Shireen. I just want to go a little bit of backstory of where and how this all started. We were living in Winters. I believe it was 2011. And my parents were soccer coaches of mine, my older brother Eldon's soccer team. At the end of the year, we decided we wanted to throw a Halloween party for our soccer teams. We invited all of our friends, and we just happened to live on a property that had an abandoned almond orchard on it. And what they wanted to do for this Halloween festive end of the year soccer party was to get a whole bunch of the parents of the soccer kids together, dress them up in some costumes, put them in the forest, and had what we call the forest, the orchard, and to walk all the kids through for about 10 minutes. And then, you know, a couple scares, parents jumping out. It was really fun. Everybody enjoyed it. And by the end of the night, everyone was calling their friends who we had no association with, like, you have to come see this, you have to come try this, just walk through. It ended up being an amazing night. It was so fun. And then the next year, my parents thought, like, we could like do this for Winters. This could be really fun. And so we opened it up, and I think we got like 150 people to come through on the night before and on Halloween night. It was just amazing. And that's just kind of how it grew and how it started. Eventually we moved into a bigger location, into bigger orchards, into more venue locations, and it just became a really amazing time. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have any comment cards, Madam Clerk?
No.
All right, we'll just freeform this though. Ma'am, you were coming up anyways. Come on up.
Pushed a button. I'm Shirley Lopez. I'm a local realtor. Halloween's my favorite. Starts in September. I got to attend the trainings last Saturday night. Most of these 40 to 50 people that they are hiring are young adults. Had you been able to see the light in these kids' eyes to be able to be a part of this whole thing, you would completely understand. I mean, I saw kids light up out there with what they're going to get to do. And it's going to be an amazing event. It really, really is. I'm super excited, and so are all the people who are going to be working there. So, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We'll take a show of hands. Who else is interested in coming up speaking? All right, I see a hand in the back. Lady in the back, come on up.
Hi, Elizabeth Pinotti, Plymouth. And you've seen my back and forth. We did have a chance, my husband and I had a chance to talk to the Maynards, and we're still cautious about it. The way we understand their original plan was to park, the mine property that they're on is a very large piece of property. They have a driveway that is by the PG&E substation. And their original plan was to use that driveway, which wouldn't impact Pacific Street. We have a couple of issues with Pacific Street. We are the property directly next door. We have an Airbnb that looks out over that property. We're completely booked, and I will have to notify people, and whether they decide to stay or not to stay, it would be up to them. Our issue is with the parking there. We would like the council to consider letting them move their parking to and use the PG&E substation driveway, or it's their driveway, but it's near the PG&E substation. There also might be a problem with them actually using Pacific Street. Are you granting permission for them to use Pacific Street? The city doesn't own Pacific Street. It's a prescriptive use easement. The mine owned it by use. The city has prescriptive use of it, which is just kind of basically an easement that passed to the property owners. So we own some, the Garibaldis own some, John Coburn owns some, anybody who lives on Pacific Street owns to the middle of the street. Okay, so I have to read this, okay? So with a prescriptive right-of-way, right of use, there can be no expansion of use. A prescriptive easement allows continued use, not enlargement, no widening, no material traffic increases, and no burdens beyond the historical pattern, unless the people are notified and we agree to sell our rights. No backdoor public road claim. Under California Civil Code, the city can't say that they've used it so they can claim it. Transfer doesn't grow with the right. So when the mine sold, the prescriptive easement comes back to us. The city of Plymouth, unfortunately, anybody who has one of these prescriptive use permits only has the right to take care of the road. They don't have, so I believe that with a prescriptive use permit or use easement, that the city doesn't have the power to say, yes, go ahead, please drive there, go ahead and increase the traffic and direct the flow differently, or even allow a material increase. The Maynards are wonderful people. I think in the long term, this isn't a bad idea at all. I just think that it's not realistic to have that much traffic. You know, it could be upwards of thousands of people a day on Pacific Street. I think it's dangerous. And I think that there is a solution, and that solution would be to use their other driveway off of Highway 49. Thank you.
Could I ask you a question real quick, Elizabeth? You mentioned moving the parking, or is it really just the driveway entrance you're concerned about?
Well, the way I understand it, and this was from the Maynards, is that if they move the driveway, they have an alternative area to park in them. So they would have their food trucks, I guess. I only heard about food trucks today. I didn't know anything about food trucks. So they would start the haunt, they would take people on a tractor, and if I'm speaking out of turn, please tell me. Okay, so they would take people on a tractor, right? The people would come in off of 49, they take them on a hayride, like behind a tractor, you know how they do, and they take them to the staging area, which is near our house. Would it still be inconvenient for our guests? Absolutely. Is it something that we would completely object? No. I mean, it's because we're weighing what this potentially could do to Plymouth. I mean, they can't impact Pacific Street. It's dangerous. Not only is it not allowed, but it's dangerous, completely dangerous. And they have a solution. So that's.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Yeah, you want to come up just?
Sam Maynard from the Haunted Forest business. Beth's totally right. Our option number one, the option we want to do is enter from the Highway 49 entrance that's existed for 100 years or more, that the whole mine, the whole city of Plymouth was built around, and park people far from Pacific Street. That's what we really want. Now, if we're not able to do that, we hope that the community will support us in using Pacific Street. But if the council can grant us permission, if that's in your ability, we would prefer to not use Pacific Street at all. It actually enhances our business to use the Highway 49, right turn in, right turn out. We have a traffic plan for that area that we can review if you'd like. The benefits of that are that we're far away from the residential neighborhoods, and we would park deeply into our property where headlights and, you know, those sorts of things would be far away. Plus, that would allow us to actually begin the haunted attraction at our parking deep into the site and do a haunted hayride to where the real haunt trail begins. And so it's actually, we really want that option to go through. Did I cover that? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
What we have found is because this property is so old here, some things get forgotten. Most people that we've met have been like, what is it with that property, by the way? So just so you know, and I have documentation, I did email to you, but it was just barely today, that I did find through a title. We have record where our property was the one who gave California easement through the property of 49, when 49 was created back in 1931. That access road has been in operation the whole time. We have aerial maps of all the different years that it was used for different things, but because there's been a time and a duration where it hasn't been, it was forgotten, I feel like. So when Caltrans was like, I don't know if you have a permit, I actually think it's been grandfathered in from the beginning because all those other streets never got permits. And
So they're asking for an encroachment permit, I assume?
that's what they were kind of trying to do. And then we also said, but it's been there since before. We said PG&E big trucks have been using it this whole time. And it's kind of like an unfamiliar zone. So anyway, just wanted to share that we do have that. And we feel like for the city Plymouth purposes and the whole thing, I totally completely agree with Elizabeth that that would be so ideal.
Okay, we'll visit that option with staff when we're done with public comments, but thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, who is next? Somebody in the back, come on up.
Good evening, Rosemary Marino Moody from Plymouth. First off, I think this is a great idea. I don't object to the idea. I think it's a great thing to come into town. I do have some concerns, and one of them is going till midnight. That seems kind of late for our little town, and especially with residentials around there. But you also have to realize that behind them is Burke Ranch, and as noise travels, I'm sure that they're going to get noise from that, regardless of whatever entrances they go in. So that's my concern there. You know, more like a 10 o'clock would be wonderful for that. The other thing is I was looking on their website, which is already live for tickets. And the week of the 20th, it shows they go from Tuesday through Saturday, and the week of the 27th, they show Monday through Saturday. But this is saying Wednesday through Saturday. So I want to make sure that's really clear, if you do grant the use permit, that the days are specific, because the website that they're already advertising for tickets says differently. And the other one is Pacific Street is a very narrow street. A lot of the residents do park in front of their houses on Pacific Street. The entrance over here by the PG&E substation has been used for many events over the years. I'm a longtime resident of Plymouth. My aunt and uncle used to be part owners in that property out there. And back in the day, they had the Hangtown races out there, and that entrance in and out was perfect for the traffic flow in town. We also have to consider the 49er down here has their Halloween on Saturdays in October, at least the last few Saturdays. That increases traffic on that end already. And bringing in this off of Pacific Street is just going to make it even worse. Because if they can come in and go through the substation here and their traffic is away, it won't interfere at all with the traffic for the 49er, which we all know a lot of people come for. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, more hands. Anybody else? I see John Colburn standing up. Come on up.
John Colburn, longtime resident. I served on as a mayor and on the city council for many, many times. I sent some pictures through, and there was copies available on the counter out there. The reason for that picture was I used my RV as a measuring stick. It's 8 foot standard, and it shows the restriction going through those streets on Empire Street. The haunted forest is talking about 60 cars per hour, for 5 hours, 300 cars per night. The 49er trick-or-treaters, they have about 150 cars a night, what they tell me. And their event is on Friday and Saturday at the 49er trade for the 5 weekends in October. So that's 450 cars a night. They're going to have to intermingle with the traffic there on Highway 49. It's really ludicrous. None of these people have testified except the 2 locals have seen what it's like on Highway 49 during the trick-or-treaters. There's traffic lined all the way up from Popular Street, clear down to the 49er, I mean the grocery store. And that parking now has been taken away with the guardrails and stuff. There's no longer parking there. Those people are going to be parking on the side street, and they're going to be competitive for the traffic flow on Pacific and the other streets there. So it's going to be an absolute nightmare for the 2 of these to collide. And one of the things I'm so scared about is that one of the others is going to have to give, and the 49er trade court may end up stopping their event or this event. The highest Empire Street and Highway 49 is the highest accident incidence of any intersection in Amador County. There was just an accident there the night before last. There's an average one every 6 weeks. And I hear a lot of those, most of them. I heard the one the other day and I said, oh, another accident, run out to see if anybody's hurt. And October is our highest usage of that section. We do have a fatality on Pacific Street where an infant was run over by a vehicle. It was many years ago, with the configuration of the street is the same as it was when a child was run over. So I'm saying, what are we thinking? You know, it's ludicrous to try to use Pacific Street for entry and exit out of that project. The project, it is to and from that event is part of the project. They're coming off of 49 and entering back on 49 is part of that project. And the people on that and through that Pacific Street should have been notified of this event. There was no notification of any of the residents on Pacific Street, none. And that's ludicrous. All of us should have been noticed. I looked at this thing. I just found out about it the day before yesterday. There's 42 pages to be analyzed, and we have 180 seconds to do it. That's 4 seconds per page. I don't have the ability to analyze it that quick for you, for this audience. But a few questions I had. One was the city and the planner and their plan cites the revenue to the city is going to be a benefit. And I said, what revenue over cost is coming to the city? I see nothing that's set aside or anything, any monetary gain for the city other than the costs to recover the costs that they've expended. The other thing that concerns me a lot is they have in their reports and everything, they have parking direction inside. They have parking officers inside, but there's no parking officers allowed for outside the perimeter of the property itself. That is has to be some way addressed because we're going to have people walking up and down 49 and on Pacific Street, and they need to be somewhere managed when these two groups of cars mingle, because they're going to hit that intersection and they're not going to know just exactly where they're going without some direction on site. The 9 o'clock residential zoning curfew in regards to gatherings with amplified sounds is part of the ordinances for the city of Plymouth. And under no condition should this thing go past 9 o'clock at night. They got it scheduled to midnight. There's no reasonable reason to have that in a residential area. So under no condition should this go past 9. I have a sleep condition that this project would impact. Each and every one of those cars got to go by me going in, and I'm going to hear them again going down the highway. I have not noticed, and there are so many unanswered and undocumented items that I have two alternatives for myself. That's to either move out or appeal tonight's decision. So my option I'm taking right now, here's $100 I give to you for appeal of this decision. If it continues and goes through this this commission tonight, using Pacific Street.
We know you're good for it, John. Anybody else? Ma'am, come on up.
Hello, Corinne Salas, and I'm a resident of Plymouth. I'm actually 2 streets down from where the Haunted Forest is going to be at. I'm just here to say that we are for the Haunted Forest. We are super excited about it. I have my husband and my son here with me. He is excited to be attending the Enchanted Forest during the day, and me and my husband will be excited and be going to the Haunted Forest at night, at nighttime. We are not concerned with parking or anything of that matter. We have the fair going on every year, and that always leads to traffic down our road. So like I said, we're not worried about that or the noise complaint at all. But we are for the Haunted Forest. I'm really excited to see Shireen and Sam put on this event this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ma'am.
Good evening, Lindsay Clark. I'm a resident of Plymouth and also a resident of Pacific Street. I'm actually here and I'm speaking on behalf of 4 residents on Pacific Street, as was signed in our letter. We are all definitely for the Haunted Forest. It's going to bring in not only temporary jobs and work experience for our youth within the community, but it gives us as a community purpose to get together, to mingle with each other, and to enjoy what our city has to offer, which as a resident for the last 15 years here, I've seen us grow, and to have an exhibit like this is just beyond what we've had to offer in the past. And so many people within my life have already contacted and said how excited they are about it from all over the county, even out of the county. So I really hope that you guys are able to approve this permit.
Great, thank you. And then, sir?
I'm Sterling Maynard, son of Sam and Shireen. Just had a quick comment regarding parking. We will not have any parking whether we get approved for Pacific Street or off of 49. We will not have any parking on the street anywhere. So for those who are worried about streets filling up in any way. Parking will all be on our property, and all traffic flow will go in and be able to loop around, so that there'll be no stopped cars on streets ideally. So that's my comment.
Question, assuming you can represent the.
I'll do my
the
best.
family, so the tickets when they're purchased come with parking, right? So like it's kind of like.
Correct.
Required.
There's no extra fee for parking on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Come on down.
Hi, Todd Ramos. I live in Burke Ranch in Plymouth. So, but my first question is do you own the property or are you renting the property?
We own it.
So do you plan to do this every year? You're trying to
Yes.
make this happen every year or something? Okay. Well, that would be a little bit tough for me. I agree with John on the 9 o'clock thing because we do even hear the fair. So it is kind of loud. It appears like I'm opposed to it for spiritual reasons with the Halloween thing. So that's where, that's another conversation. But I just want to say, I hope that it doesn't go past 9 PM. So, all right.
Great, appreciate it. All right, come on down.
Steve Pinotti, Plymouth. We have a vacation rental right next door, and we were opposed to it at first. Talked to the Maynards. We said, this is probably a pretty good deal, but only on the condition that Pacific Street was not used as a traffic flow. It's a mess. You can say they're not going to park on the street, but what if I have to go to our house and it's something, the toilet plugged up or something, and we have people there? I'm not allowed to go down Pacific Street north to south because it's a one-way street. I don't know how you're going to police it. And I don't know if you know how Airbnbs work. They're rated. So you stay at our house, you rate us as a host, we rate you as a guest. So we have 5 stars over, I don't know how many, 5 years, 6 years. We're in the top 1% of Airbnbs in the world. We know it's going to affect us. We know it's already affected us financially. We had to refund money a couple weeks ago, but just think hard about Pacific Street. It's really small. I mean, I don't know. I don't see how it would work on Pacific Street. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
One other question be for the planner. The Maynards had Plan A, which is using the PG&E substation road. Nothing was mentioned about that. Is there a reason for that?
I think the commission's gonna have questions about that and it's in the staff report, but I can talk about it again. Whenever you're.
Great, anybody else? Sure.
Sorry, I forgot, but personally, I just am trying to get into city development and do my part. And I kind of feel like the design here is gold miner, kind of wine country. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't want it to be known as a Halloween or a haunted house town. We already have 49er. And that's a big deal every year when they have the Halloween there. So that's just my 2 cents, but thanks for hearing me.
Great, thanks. Last call. Come on up.
Mike O'Meara, I'm on Sutter Street, which is Pacific's here, Sutter's over here. And I got John mentioned Pacific. I could see Pacific being an issue, I'd rather, it's narrow. You have a car parked here, you have a car parked here. Good luck getting another car through. It's that tough. So, and in talking to the people, I guess the substation is kind of what they preferred to go in that way. That makes a lot of sense. Now, me being on Sutter, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably gonna go. I'm pretty sure I am. I'm just gonna walk over there, so whatever happens to Sutter, whatever happens to Pacific, it is what it is. But I'm just saying that I think John's right that the Pacific Street way is just, it's gonna be tough, you know? But I'm all for it. I was on council before. I've always been for businesses getting things going in this town. We've got a lot of potential, it's just a matter of ironing out things. So I'm all for it. Just, Pacific's an issue. Okay. But I'm gonna walk on Pacific. I'm not driving. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. All right, last call. Okay, great. I'm going to close the public hearing part of this. And this is the part where we discuss things and we're probably gonna have some questions, so stick around if you will. If you guys don't mind, I've got kind of a list that's probably similar to your list. You mind if I just kind of tick through mine? And then we can go to you guys and tick through your stuff if there's anything left. All right, sounds good. All right, so first I have, I guess one of the concerns was the hours. First of all, and one of the, Rosemary, I think came up and talked about the different days. I do see in the conditions of approval under number 2, it actually does specify that it's Wednesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays from 9 a.m. till midnight. Just confirming that's what we're holding it to, correct? As the city? Okay, so that's what the deal is. So if there are tickets for sale other than that, obviously that's something, if this gets approved, that would have to be taken up. And then let's talk about the time. I do know that the fair is quite loud all the way up to my house and all the way up to Burke Ranch on the other side. Do you guys plan to have music, loud things going on? Nothing, no amplified noise at all? Okay.
If I may, also, there is a condition of approval that reiterates the city's noise ordinance.
Correct.
And you cannot hear any noise from the property line 50 feet. So they will be required to uphold that.
And who will be policing that?
We will have our sheriffs policing the area. And of course, if anyone has a complaint, they should absolutely reach out to the city because there's conditions for any conditional use permit, let's say. There are conditions and they have to abide by the conditions of their permit. So if someone is not abiding, so I don't know, pretend we said that you have to stop operating at 10 and they're out there till midnight having customers, then yes, I want you to reach out to us and we'll send code enforcement out there because they have to abide by their permit.
Good question. Is the amplified sound because of where it's at, or is it like that all in Plymouth?
That's required citywide. Now, the fairgrounds is a different deal
Okay.
because that's not within the city. That's not owned by us. We have no control over it. It's not within the city limits. So the fairgrounds is different. I can't control the noise of the fairgrounds.
My other thought about that would be the noise of cars coming and going after the event, which could be noisy. So in your guys' experience, did that go on till, an hour after your event in Winters? I know you guys have butted some residential area there, but what, 3 sides of where you were was basically nothing in fields. Here, we kind of have residential on either side when you talk Burke Ranch or the city. Is it noisy when people are leaving?
Not really. People finish the event and they just get in their cars and go, or finish their popcorn and go. Nobody hangs out. We're not trying to create a hangout atmosphere.
Right.
We do have some food trucks and things that we'd certainly be willing to close at 9 or 9:30 or whatever that makes sense, just to make sure people do just finish their route and go. That's an easy concession for us to make.
I understand you probably want a nighttime experience there, and I get that. That's probably part of the magic, right?
There's a certain business case,
Sure.
You have to be open a certain amount of hours for it to pencil each night to, because it costs us thousands of dollars to just be open for even 1 minute. Because we have to hire staff, they have a minimum amount they get paid. And so there is a business case to be had for the quantity of hours to be open to make the program profitable for us. We're not a nonprofit, right?
Sure.
So we do this for profit.
Is there a time that wouldn't cut into your bottom line specifically, but might make some people happy?
Yeah, absolutely. One concession that is in the staff report that isn't ideal for us but if it helps the community and if it works, that on weeknights, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 o'clock would be our cutoff, you know, for sure. And then if the community would please be willing to work with us on the weekends, on the Friday, Saturday, and we're never open on Sunday just for personal reasons. But if the community would please work with us on Fridays and Saturdays to let us be open for a couple extra hours, that would really help us. And it would help limiting Wednesday, Thursdays hours make sense. You know, make business sense. Is that?
Would it make business sense still to just put a flat 11 PM on it?
We would ask for later, but if that's all we could do, we would take it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a quick point. In my experience with special events, I think part of the problem with enforcement, day of events or even day after events with code enforcement is very difficult. And so I think, you know, I have all the faith in the world that everyone would abide by rules, but if they don't, it's not something that can be taken care of that day. At least the experience that I have seen, it's, you know, code enforcement isn't even on duty at that time. So that part would be a little difficult.
So in terms of events and in terms of this event in particular, if they mess up and I hear about it, it will be that much harder for them to get a permit next year, right? Because this is every year they're getting a permit. So every year you have a chance to look at it again. So if we find that 10 o'clock is too bothersome, they could get restricted further next year, let's say to 9 or whatever the case may be. Yes, at the time of the event, now you can call the sheriff will come out. If someone lets us know that there's a problem, code enforcement can get involved. And then of course, I can, acting with the code enforcement or however the case may be, or our city manager will reach out to them and let them know that we have a complaint right away. Because I don't want this to be something where we have one complaint and we don't get it taken care of, so that next year that one complaint means they can't operate ever again. We'd like to be proactive about it.
Of course, our concern is that although I think the vast.
Yeah, you gotta step up to the mic.
Yeah. Of course, the concern is that although I think the vast majority of the county is in favor of this project, there's always going to be some who are not. And even if we're abiding by the rules, those that are not in favor of the project will just automatically complain anyway, you know, regardless. And so my plea is that you will seriously consider if and when the complaints come through, are they from community members who are just going to complain anyway, no matter what, you know, and to be able to balance the overall community health with the project and take that into consideration.
Sure, we understand that. Of course, totally understand. Okay, did you have anything to talk about days and hours?
So I think it was mentioned, like tickets were sold outside. I think we clarified it's gonna be the days within what we're proposing here is documented. So we just confirm the current days and hours as requested?
Yes. It's a little bit of surprise that we were limited to Wednesday and Thursday when I didn't realize that got into I overlooked that personally. Normally how it works is at the beginning of October, as business begins to ramp up, we typically at the beginning just open on Friday, Saturday. And then, you know, like into the second week of October, we open up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. And that's just because there's just not people to buy tickets, right? If there were tons and tons of people to buy tickets, we would have more days open. But in our experience of, 8 years of doing this, we rarely open up on a Monday, Tuesday until the very, very last week of October. So, and have we actually ever opened on a Monday? Maybe once. It's just not a big day. And Tuesdays hardly ever pencil out either. And we typically don't do Tuesdays either. But we'd like to have that option if we can. And those days would happen towards the end of October, and it would only be 1 or 2 of those days because there's only so many weeks. So if the council restricts us to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll take it. Ideally, if you could give us a couple of Tuesdays at the end of the month, that would be appreciated. Maybe 2 Tuesdays on the last 2 weeks of the month, that would be awesome. Is that fair enough? That would still pencil, right? We could still make that work. I don't think we ever need to open on a Monday, and we never intend to open on a Sunday. So if you could grant us 2 Tuesdays on the last 2 weeks of the month, that would be great. But if you don't, that's fine too. We'll make it work.
So just to
Yeah.
clarify, so
You want actual dates?
no, I just want to get it straight in my own head.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's when, let's say the typical weeks, not including the Tuesday for the last
Yeah.
2 Tuesdays of October.
Sorry.
So it's like Wednesday through Saturday, Wednesday through Thursday, as currently proposed, would be 7 PM to 10 PM for the haunted house.
Well, they're proposing till midnight.
Wednesday and
We accept 10 o'clock on the weekdays.
Okay, okay.
Just take it off the board. What, on the weekdays, 10 o'clock, no problem.
Okay.
People need to go to bed. People have children, no big deal.
Then it was Friday, Saturday was 7 PM to midnight. Okay.
Well, technically, we're open a little before that during the enchanted hour.
Yeah, I'm talking the haunted.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, versus the enchant. I guess 7 PM's in from enchanted to
Yes,
haunted.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what's like I think it's somewhere in there as well, and I read that, but what's like the daily total on the busy days, right? So what would be a daily total and then like an hourly total traffic maximum?
Are you interested in cars or people count?
Both, if you have it.
Okay, Erica was correct. We typically have 3, 4, or 5 people come in a car. These people who purchase our tickets, they come as a family or a group or a business group, or a soccer club. And so they usually come pretty packed. And we ask them to come packed. We ask them to, to carpool together. And they typically do anyway. And so that creates about 1 car every minute and a half or so entering and exiting until like 9:30 or so. Then it slows down because then you only have people exiting. Does that make sense? No one's coming anymore because it takes a good 40 minutes to go through the event. By the time you check in and by the time you are ready to begin your trail, it's a 40-minute experience for you. So in terms of head count during the weekdays, we're typically in the low hundreds. In the weekends, we sometimes reach 600 or 700 would be like a big day. Those will happen at the very end of the month.
Okay, so that's like 45, 55 cars an hour max. Something like that.
Yeah, 40, probably more like 40.
If you had your 5, 6
Yeah.
versus say
Yeah.
3, 4 per car. Okay.
So I know my son Sterling already addressed this, but our property is huge and there will not be a backup on 49 or Pacific Street or wherever we get to do it. Hopefully you allow us to do a 49. That's really what we want. Because we have this huge queue area where cars pull deeply into our property before they are asked to park. And we have parking attendants all the way along the way. And there's also signage and so forth. It's very clear. Not to mention, the day before and about 2 hours before our guests come, they get an automatic email and a text message that comes to them with instructions. They get our parking circulation plan. They get exactly where they're supposed to go, where they're supposed to enter, where they're exiting, and our basic rules, which is no alcohol, no outside food or beverage, and don't bring face masks, and there's some basic rules that we've learned over the years that we give to them the day before and the day of.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did I cover that all right? Yeah.
And then probably more a question for Erica, like if you look at the entrance off of 49, the driveway entrance, it wouldn't be like we can decide, yeah, don't use Pacific Street. It would be up to the applicant to determine if that's acceptable from a entrance standpoint with the state, correct?
So, I mean, I
Yeah,
rather.
That was number 2 on my list. So,
Yeah, so
let's-
this is a hard one because the Highway 49 connection is my personal favorite. But because it's a connection at Highway 49 and we do not own Highway 49, Caltrans is involved. And Caltrans said no. Now, I argued with them that driveway has been there forever. They do not want to hear it. So my recommendation would be to follow Caltrans, but you get to make the ultimate decision. It's not my decision.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on all this, I know that driveway's been used for years.
Yes.
I know that when they used to have the Hangtown Motocross Classic here in town, that driveway was used. I also know that Pacific Street had more intensive uses on it before. I know there was, Mr. Crocker's junkyard was down there. There was, I think, a cement crushing plant or something for a while at the end, obviously the mine and the Tresky. So, there's been trucks up and down that street for years. It's much less used than it is, but those are year-round intensive uses. But I still have concerns with Pacific Street because a couple of reasons. I mean, you mentioned that you wouldn't cause a traffic jam. Just 2 cars making a right turn on Pacific Street causes a traffic jam and rear enders out on Highway 49. And when I was a deputy sheriff, I took many reports of rear enders on that stretch of Highway 49 from people turning. And that's obviously a concern. I think the traffic noises till late at night is going to be a problem for people on Pacific because the houses aren't set back there. They're pretty much like Mike O'Mara's house right on the corner, right? You're right there. John's not too far back from the street either. I really see concerns with Pacific Street. And so my question is, what if our argument is, no, we don't think Caltrans really has a right to dictate this?
Yeah, I also address that, Erica.
I mean, look, I can only give you my recommendation. You can do whatever you want on this one. I don't know what liability we put ourselves in. We can have the applicant further indemnify us in the conditions, if anything. I think the risk to the city is if an accident happens at Highway 49. If the applicant wants to further indemnify us for anything on Highway 49, I'm all for that. I think that it's a hard one. And Caltrans' recommendation was not that connection, even though it was my favorite. But again, you can determine what you want to do. I think next year, though, that Highway 49, that connection is the connection, and they need to get an encroachment permit from Caltrans. And that's why the conditions of approval are in there, requiring them to apply earlier. It takes probably 6 to 9 months to get through Caltrans for an encroachment permit. It's not easy. But I would, if you go that route, I would have the conditions of approval amended so they're indemnifying us for everything. And that they regularly sweep and clean that connection right there because there's a lot of dirt in that area.
I don't know how comfortable I would be in telling someone who owns the property, the Caltrans, that we are not going to abide by their decision. They're the ones that offer a permit. I think if it was the city owned property and somebody else came in and we told them no, I think we might look at that a little differently.
Well, it's their driveway, and there's a lot of driveways off of 49. And I mean, I don't see why Caltrans essentially having an easement maybe there can require an encroachment permit.
They look at, so even when 49er is changing their entryway and Caltrans is involved because it connects at Highway 49. So they're always involved. I think they forgot that this driveway existed. That would be my guess on the situation, that because it hadn't been used in a couple of years, there's some brush and it looked very narrow and it looked like it wasn't paved, even though it's partially paved. And so when they drew up their plans for Highway 49, I think they forgot it existed.
I also like the fact that I think there's a turn lane there, or at least very close to that, that could at least stack southbound traffic. I don't know about northbound traffic.
So if they're entering and exiting from that site, you're probably gonna wanna condition that someone's out there directing traffic because it is wide, but there's not gonna be any stacking on Highway 49. So they'll have to move in quickly and get through to the property. Whereas if someone's slowly moving in confused, it will back up Highway 49. There's no turn lane and there's a fence and then there's a little pathway right there. And then exiting, we would want them to exit to the right and use the traffic circle because that will reduce a cause for an accident with people trying to peel left and people are trying to go in or continue on the road. So we would want that to still be a right out.
We talked to the city attorney about any of this?
Yes,
Tell,
it's not his recommendation to use the connection at Highway 49.
based on,
Caltrans said no.
Can I jump in for a second? Erica, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Caltrans is, as far as the conversations I had with them, it was never a no. It was, there's not enough time. But I don't recall them ever saying no.
So it's a no from the standpoint that they want engineered plans and they want an encroachment permit and they want you to be liable for that connection. So it's a no until you did that.
Okay.
So that's why I mentioned for next year, that's the path no matter what. Whatever direction, if you choose Pacific this year, staff's path next year is it's Highway 49. And that would be my recommendation, that we get it on Highway 49 with the proper path. Now, whatever you want to do this year, is up to you.
We have it's not super sophisticated looking, but it is very functional traffic plan that even Caltrans looked at and reviewed. And though it's, my graphics are not super sophisticated, it is a very solid plan. And it includes a 50-yard, 100-yard, and a 200-yard on the southbound of Highway 49, showing signs that there is congested traffic ahead, which we hope there won't be, but it just alerts drivers who are making a right-hand turn into the property. I don't believe that Caltrans can require us to have an encroachment permit. That driveway has existed. The entire economy of the city of Plymouth has been driven from that very driveway. Your whole community was built from that driveway. This whole place, it drove the economic engine that created Plymouth. That very driveway has existed longer than any other thing in this entire community. And Caltrans cannot require us, although we will play the game, to get an encroachment permit, but we don't believe they can make us get an encroachment permit and keep us from using our property. It is our property. We bought it. It was grandfathered in like every other 50 entrances along Highway 49. And by the way, ours is far safer than 50 of the others, which I'm not going to mention by name, but you know which ones they are that are not truly safe. Ours is far better situation than that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mike, I just ask a quick question. I don't know if this is gonna be cost prohibitive, but just not to even deal with the 49 entrance, but just 49 in general. Is it possible to have traffic control as a special event through the county? Instead of having employees direct traffic on a
I don't know what the cost would be or if we even have, there's any, enough. I just don't know what the cost would be.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say for the city to pay for it, just as far as the applicant having a cost of doing business.
Yeah. The hard thing in this case is, Caltrans has said one thing and I can't get between, their property owner, they have their documents, Caltrans has their say,
it's really a fight between the two of them.
I totally respect that. I understand. Absolutely.
City manager, you have anything to add?
I have my opinion on how this should be handled, but Miss Marino Moody just brought some information. And so I asked her if she'd be willing to share it with you guys, if you guys are willing to hear it.
Absolutely.
Rosemary Marino Moody, Plymouth. My cousin Carol Emerson is watching this online. I just spoke to her on the phone because her parents were part owner of that property. They did get an encroachment permit years ago when they had the races out there. That was granted by Caltrans. And she says that you only have to get the encroachment permit once. It becomes part of that deed and it continues on. There's no end date to the encroachment permit. So it sounds like you guys already have what you need from Caltrans because it was done years ago as part of that property.
She wouldn't have a copy of that, would she?
I don't know. But they said it should be attached to the deed. Okay, so that's just, I'm just trying to help you guys out here. I just spoke with her.
Right. Sure.
Todd Ramos, Plymouth. My question to you is, Mr. Maynard, and this is nothing personal. I'm sure we get along great. But do you live here or does your family live in Plymouth? So you plan to live in Plymouth? Okay, but not right now. So okay, well, that's different. See, because when you said the comment that if, a certain amount of people, more people than others would say, you're going to have to just take it, what we bring into business here. It just hit a little bit wrong. I think that you would feel the same way. It'd be like if you had your 5 acres and the town wanted a 7-Eleven across the street and they said, yeah, you're going to take it, That's what you'd have to do. So that's kind of how I just felt it was personal that way. But, I just wanted to say that. But I understand you want to do business and everything, but it's hard to see somebody coming in and making big demands. And I still strongly do believe that the 9 o'clock thing would be kind of hard. I live right directly up the hill from that, so I would hear a lot of the noise. I'm sure there's a few other people that would agree with that. But
Understood.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of beaten up the street thing sufficiently. John, did you have something on the street thing?
Yeah, I want to be cautious on what is being said about they're going to do this and do that. You had a picture also that was sent of a sign. That sign is on Caltrans right away in March Hill. That's an illegal sign. So it appears that they want to do everything that's right until it's convenient to them not to. Because those signs, the illegal signs, are spread all over Sacramento and everywhere. They're on Caltrans right away without permits. So be careful and protect the city of Plymouth.
All right. And speaking of protecting the city of Plymouth, number 3 on my list is law enforcement. I certainly believe that when you bring a large number of people in from out of town, you have traffic issues, you have possible crime issues, you have other things. And I know that, our last city manager or whomever negotiated a contract with the sheriff's office that says that we may bear extra costs when extraordinary things occur here. And something like I could name any type of crime or large traffic accident, taking a lot of investigation or whatever, could sink the city with the billing from the sheriff's office. And what is the city's plan to deal with that? I mean, I would be in favor of, obviously, and I don't know if it would pencil out for them. I think, paying for a deputy to be present isn't asking for too much, to kind of prevent the stuff, but absent that, I think we need to have something in place or some plan in place to address if something bad happens. Do we have a plan?
I mean, Cameron has told me that the sheriffs will patrol and it won't be an additional cost to the city. If you are concerned that there could be costs to the city for whatever reason, we can condition it that they're responsible for that cost. That can be a condition that you can add. I have seen these things in many locations, both rural areas and non. And I have never witnessed that there's a significant increase in calls, but every use is different. So it's hard to say. I mean, this is just what you are not approving this for the next 20 years. You are approving it for this year only. And I think we'll learn a lot on how this operates within this city. And that is also why I didn't want to do a conditional use permit, because I think we should have a relook at it every year.
Well, since it's just for this year, is the sheriff committed to scaling up? If we get week one with this and it's it's intensive for law enforcement and traffic, are they able to scale up for that?
Chairman, I've spoken with the sheriff. As Erica mentioned, they have toured the property. They're very satisfied with the ops plan and the plan that was going to be in place. We have requested extra patrols similar to vacation patrols just to make sure the city didn't incur any more cost. I did not speak to the sheriff about what it would cost to get an extra deputy out here. However, I'd like something in place that if this does generate a call for service that does become a financial burden on the city, that it's absorbed by the business. But I can certainly get an answer to you and start working with the sheriff. I'm confident that we can handle that situation.
Okay, great. And would you guys be willing to accept that basic indemnification or additional cost that could be a possibility if something occurred?
I don't think it's fair to ask us to have an open checkbook, but you can look at our history. And you can speak with the representatives from the Winters and Yolo, Solano counties, where we have operated over years, almost a decade, with 0 incidents, none. And so as a business owner, I feel confident that there isn't going to be an issue, but at the same time, I can't just leave an open check, because there are compounding issues. There are other things happening in town, and not everything is in our control, right? And so I'm not exactly sure how else to answer that.
I would say that if you wanted to include it as a condition, we'll be very specific that it's calls related to the haunted forest, not, 49er Village is, well, they need a temporary use permit too, so that's another story, but it's not like 49er Village is all of a sudden causing a ruckus and they're gonna get charged for it. We'd be very specific in that.
So it would be basically things that we get billed for that are 100% a
Yes.
result of this activity.
Yeah, that's the way I would word the condition, because it's not fair for them to have to, if all of a sudden 49er Village is the problem, then we shouldn't as a city be saying, well, you can cover the 49er Village problem.
All right.
Sir, if I may comment on that, and just the contract we do have, in my understanding, with the sheriff's office, anything outside of normal patrol duties, or normal investigative duties is what we would be responsible for. So if, God forbid, there's a homicide or a serious crime out there that requires a SWAT response, crisis negotiation team, multiple investigators out there, extended period of time, and bomb technicians, whatever the case may be, that's where we would absorb that cost. But it's not the normal patrol functions or response to a 415 physical or a fight or something of that nature. So thank you.
Okay, so it'd be something big and extraordinary. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, and then you guys have anything on that? Sure, coming up.
Just Eldon Maynard, one of the Maynards, just wanted to mention real quick that if an in-between that would help you guys feel a little bit more secure would be maybe hiring or contracting with a, specific security
company or something like that. That could be an option we might be able to consider or talk about having in place instead of, I don't know if it's more expensive to have a deputy on full-time or something like that. And then just, again, wanted to reiterate the incidents that we have had are, like someone refusing to put out a cigarette. That's the most traumatic thing that's happened in the past. So
That's a big one here.
it is a big one, but easy to fix pretty quick.
Just real quick on that, I guess my bigger concern is in 49, I'm not saying anything criminal is gonna happen, but if you have traffic, collisions, traffic control, all those things can be pretty intensive if there's two events going on. You can't really have a security guard directing traffic on a public roadway. It's gotta be a deputy to be efficient. I don't know, maybe even legally, I'm not sure. But that's kind of my concern, not necessarily much, and there's not gonna be any alcohol, so I would hope that criminal activity would be at a low, but it's more of the traffic issues that I'm really concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, during the fair, it sometimes backs up all the way down to Highway 16, and I get that. And two events going on right, especially if this used Pacific Street, two events going on right there is a little bit tough, because as somebody said, I forget who, that during the 49er thing, which has, I think, scaled down a little bit since they've gone more permanent resident there, scaled down in numbers, it still causes traffic out there for sure.
So from my understanding with 49er Village, who, if they're listening, by the way, does need a temporary use permit to hold their Halloween event. There are many people arriving at once, and so that will cause the backup in traffic. When you have a time ticketed event and you only sell so many tickets per time, you are metering out the traffic so as to reduce the impacts, both to in their site, right? As well as on the road, whatever entrance they're picking. 49er Village is from what it sounds like, more of a, we've started this event and it's a free for all. Which if they had a temporary use permit, we could help mitigate those impacts.
No, I think after all the dialogue, I would be in favor of approving it with multiple commitments, I guess, or caveats.
Give them to me and see if they're the same as mine.
So using the driveway on 49 or not using Pacific Street, weeknights, or just confirming the hours, which would be weeknights until 10 PM. And then the Friday, Saturday until 11 PM, I think we had discussed, which we can talk about ourselves. There's no amplified sound is already in the current city code. Food trucks maximum till 9 PM. Annual renewal, so this is a temporary for single year. So I think that's a great point Erica made, which is we'll have to bring this back. So this will be like a test in a way. The indemnification of the city for traffic occurrences into the extraordinary, yeah. And then I think the hours of I just want to make sure we all agree on the hours of operation.
So my thought on the hours of operation is, I know you guys wanted to do some additional days outside of what's here. This was what was noticed for the public hearing. So I don't know if I'm comfortable going out, I'm more comfortable limiting more of this than actually offering more than is in here without another public hearing. So people could be who didn't have a concern might have a concern now when it's Monday, Tuesday, etc. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'm more thinking we stick to what's in here, which was what was noticed in the hearing, which is what we're considering tonight.
And what's the statement in there?
So that's hours of operation are Wednesdays and Thursdays from 9 AM to 10 PM, Fridays and Saturdays, 9 AM till midnight, with patrons limited to 30 per time slot from 10 PM until midnight. I know you mentioned 11 o'clock.
I know that was a
as well.
discussion.
Yeah, what do you guys? I mean, I have less concern with midnight if the entrance is down closer to the business district than I do with it in, cars coming and going on Pacific Street at midnight.
For me, just to back up beyond the hours, a hump that I need to get over is Pacific Street versus alternative A with the driveway at 49. If we have Caltrans saying they're not going to issue, well, they have to have encroachment permit, which we don't have, which hopefully they could get, but at this point they don't have. We have the city attorney's recommendation that we don't go outside of what Caltrans says. I think that's the big hump that we have to go over. I mean, the hours, I think, are definitely something we can work on. Days a week, I agree with you, Mike, about it was already in the agenda on certain days. I wouldn't want to add it, but I think for me, at least from my perspective, the big thing is Pacific versus the alternative driveway, and whether we have the authority or the ability to issue a permit when Caltrans is saying they have to have encroachment permit.
Yeah, I agree on principle, but I also, I have my doubts that Caltrans really has that authority to limit the use of that driveway. But I mean, I kind of wish the city attorney were here to talk about that a little bit more.
I mean, I do think ultimately, if we're having them indemnify the city. And then it's between them and Caltrans, which really that's who it should be between anyways.
All right, so you guys want to use the driveway, correct? And are you willing to indemnify the city against any claims, both fines, anything from Caltrans, as well as claims resulting from any other incident that is caused by the use of that driveway?
I would support that.
Yeah, can you come up and put that on the record for us?
Absolutely, yes.
And your name again?
Eldon Maynard.
And that's
oldest son of the Maynard family.
And that's yes to that you would be willing to indemnify the city from any claims by either Caltrans or private parties for any costs or civil judgments arising from the use of the driveway on Highway 49 near the PG&E substation for ingress and egress from the event.
Yes.
Right.
I hope you got that down, Mike. That was good.
If you make a motion to approve, we'll modify the conditions as part of but I will help you. Okay, just so we don't.
All right, well, we'll try this. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the temporary use permit as stated with the stated hours of operation in here. And other conditions with the amendment that the applicant must use the driveway on Highway 49 by the PG&E substation, the original driveway to the property. They shall try to obtain or locate an encroachment permit prior to the event, but if not, either way, that it become a condition that they indemnify the city from any fines or civil judgments arising from the use of that driveway. Second change would be that the hours and days it's not really a change. The hours and days be as stated in number 2 of the conditions of approval as included in tonight's agenda. And that number 3, that the applicant be required to be responsible for any extraordinary bills from the Amador County Sheriff's Office arising from any incidents or costs incurred by that sheriff's department and by the city arising directly from their event taking place in town.
Otherwise they can go from the entire operating hours.
Does that matter?
I think 9 p.m. is some time.
All right, are we good with that for right now? I've got, before I finish my motion, can we do a little bit of discussion here, because each got something, so. Okay, and then, so in the middle of my motion here, let's discuss it. Bill was saying that the food trucks, put a limitation on the times for the food trucks. What were the hours of the food trucks you guys were considering?
We're good with whatever you want to do that. 9 p.m. would be great.
Okay, food trucks till 9 p.m. Good, okay. Yes. So additional condition that the food trucks be allowed to operate till 9 p.m. And then what other conditions shall I include in my motion?
Okay, so as far as indemnification goes, it does say they're gonna indemnify us no matter what. I can add that the city will I could add a sentence that kind of is awkward, but I can add a sentence that says the operator will indemnify the city for any claim or action against the city related to the haunted forest. Would you like to do that? I'm gonna type it. So
Yes.
Okay. And then we need to amend condition of approval number 11. So the operator, so some of these will need to change. So staying the same will be the operator shall inform all patrons when ordering their ticket of the approved path of travel when driving to the site. And then information on entering and exiting the site shall also be provided on their website. But then they do need to change, so we'll leave the entrance into the project site shall be marked with signage. But then I need to take away the no entry sign. And do you want them to have an employee at Highway 49? That's the only, I don't know about that one.
I think Commissioner Mickelson makes a good point that what could that employee really do?
I don't know.
Aside from maybe make sure the signs stay up and kind of monitor things.
So then the requirement for the sign will still be there. But it won't be the city's right of way because of where it is. So I'm gonna say on their property.
Perfect.
Oops. On the. And then they'll still have to do the sign notifying, we're still going with the right out on Highway 49.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that'll still be there. And then I'm gonna take out the project entrance doesn't make any sense. The requirement about stationing them at the project entrance doesn't make any sense anymore because now it's the same thing. And then for food trucks, it's number 12. I will add on here that food trucks shall, oh my gosh, it's like a tongue twister. Food trucks shall cease operations at 9 p.m. Sound good?
Sounds good.
And then we will add a new condition of approval, which will be number 19. That says that should we receive bills from the sheriff's department that related to the haunted forest, that they will be responsible? Is that what you want? How do you want to word it?
Call it maybe defer to the city manager on that one. Yeah, probably you're a little bit more aware of the contract than I am.
As I mentioned, the contract's pretty specific as far as what we could be invoiced for, and that to get that kind of response would have to be a pretty serious incident.
But I also want to kind of include that if we had to scale up, like if this thing is causing a
Yeah.
major problem.
Yeah, and if it becomes a problem, and I've spoken with the Maynards, and I think they have a pretty good program going. I think they're pretty aware of the impact that they have on the neighbors. But if we do have to scale up, I think we'd have a conversation with the Maynards and happily express that. But I'd also have a number from the sheriff as well, what that would take.
Okay. Good.
Could make it a condition that just says the city manager and the operators will work together to ensure there's no extra costs related to I don't know, public safety, law enforcement, as a result of the, I don't know, use. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, just if this turns into something where they're like, hey, we need to add 2 deputies to town during this thing because the first night was crazy. You know, that would, if that the city manager would work with the operator to work with the sheriff's office and their employees to find a solution, and that the cost would be borne by the operator.
So I'll do the city manager shall work with the operator to ensure there are no additional costs related to the use for law enforcement.
However, if there are,
Should the city determine that additional law enforcement is necessary beyond our contract, we'll work with cost coverage from the Maynards.
yeah, our costs would ultimately be borne by the operators.
Okay.
All right, so I assume I should start my motion over again with all of that stuff sort of in it, more or less? Okay, great. All right, so then I move that we use the existing driveway to the property on Highway 49 with additional indemnification to the city as directed by the planning director in the verbiage. Use the hours and days as stated in the notice of materials under number 2 of the conditions of approval. We amend condition 11 regarding entry and exits and signs as directed by the planning director. We limit food truck hours to 9 PM nightly. And then we add that any bills, invoices, costs, etc. regarding to law enforcement, the city manager will work with the operator and the sheriff to determine those costs, and ultimately costs would be additional costs for extraordinary circumstances or staffing up due to increase in call volume or other items would be borne by the operator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Mickelson,
My vote has nothing to do with the event, and I hope that it's very, very successful. But due to the lack of clarity with Caltrans, I have to vote no.
Vice Chair Claproth,
Yeah, I want to thank everybody coming tonight and presenting all the opinions and ideas and the concept. And the public being very involved, right? That's the main thing. We had got good public comment. With that, I would vote yes.
Chair Sullivan.
I'm gonna vote yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, I want to thank everybody that participated in
Hold on.
that first.
I don't think it passed.
Okay.
Let's check the code. I think we had to have a vote of 3. So the code says an affirmative vote of 3 members is required, doesn't? And there's 3 of you.
If I can get a commitment from the developer, the project manager, that they will contact Caltrans and do what they can to get a permit as soon as possible, I would change my vote to yes.
They'll do it.
We will diligently do everything in our power.
They have been working with Caltrans. We have been trying real hard.
That's my only concern. And so if I can get that commitment, then I will change to a yes.
You want that on the microphone up there? That commitment, or was that sufficient? Okay.
You
He did
probably
commit.
need to
I-
vote again.
All right,
Like
so let's-
formally, sorry.
Let's restart the roll call vote on that aforementioned motion.
Commissioner Mickelson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Klaproth,
Yes.
Chair Sullivan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, again, I want to thank everybody that came out and spoke. I definitely appreciate your interest in Plymouth, both as a resident and doing an event here. I'm glad you were willing to work with us to avoid some of the concerns of the folks that live here. And I hope it benefits the city and is a great event. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to number 7, which is unfinished business, and there is none. And then 8, we have new business, review and discuss potential modifications to the use matrix and definitions for commercial properties. All right, I guess we're taking a short recess before we get to number 8. Let's give it a 5-minute recess. All right, I'm gonna reconvene the meeting. All right, now I'm gonna reconvene the meeting. I'm gonna reconvene the meeting now that recording is in progress. And let's see, we went through number 7, which was unfinished business. There was none. 8, new business. 8.1, review and discuss potential modifications to the use matrix and definitions for commercial properties. And we're going to conduct a study session, receive public testimony. It looks like we still have some public here. Thank you, guys. And review and discuss and give staff direction on possible changes and additions to the use matrix. All right, let's go.
So this was a request of the planning commission back when we looked at the Cedar spill, and there was a question on whether or not the use matrix for the commercial zoning districts was working, and we focused on the downtown. So I brought it back, and I actually am bringing back all the commercial. We're looking at all the commercial zoning districts because it kind of doesn't make sense to just focus on the downtown. We should, if we're making a change, we should make it across the board. The industrial zoning district is in there. We do not have anything zoned industrial. I wouldn't worry too much about that one, but I didn't really make any recommendations. It's more for you or members of the public or whoever want to make a suggestion. My suggestions are minor, and most of the suggestions have to deal with, I have a definition that doesn't match the use list, and they should match. And then beer or wine tasting as an accessory is listed, but it doesn't really need to be. That's an accessory use. It would still be allowed. It conflicts with another section that makes it a little bit more confused. Oh, there it goes. Makes it a little bit more confusing. Hold on, it moved on me. I did recommend taking dry cleaners out because that's not what you think it is. That means a dry cleaning plant, and those are noxious. And I don't think we want that in the downtown. However, a place where you drop off your dry cleaning and it goes to another place, that would be a personal service, which I noticed was not allowed in the downtown. And I think it should be, like a hair place, or there's many other personal services, like a drop off dry cleaner. So I did make that recommendation. The nightclub live music is confusing because it should just be live entertainment. That's what it really meant. So I recommended changing that. The bulk of my concern with the code is that there's no definitions for a lot of these uses, which leads to confusion both from the public, from staff, from everyone all around. And the city attorney has also told me that we need a definition for every uses, and I agree with him. So we'll clean that up as part of this. But I don't really have that many changes. It's if you felt like there is a use you wanted to see, a use you didn't want to see. I did forget to mention that I am recommending that we clean up the confusion of the code the way it's written now with restaurants and whether or not they serve alcohol. Because right now, the way it's worded is that if you serve alcohol, you need a conditional use permit, but you can have beer and wine tasting and you don't need a conditional use permit. And I think that's a little business unfriendly. Plus, ABC limits the number of alcohol permits that they're going to issue anyways, and it's severely restricted in Plymouth. So I don't really foresee that as a huge problem, or all of a sudden we're going to have 5 million restaurants with alcohol, but alcohol sales are typical with restaurants. I'm keeping restaurant with bar, and I didn't highlight it, but I will further define that if it's a restaurant and it operates as a bar for most of the time, or the bar area let's say I'm thinking 50% of the space, then they'll still need a conditional use permit, and you could pick a different percentage if you want to, just because when you have a use that is a bar or a use that is a restaurant and the restaurant closes, let's say at 8, and then the bar goes on till midnight, you have noise impacts, you have potential for law enforcement impacts. And so those things should be reviewed with a conditional use permit to ensure that there's no impacts. But really that's, I think, my greatest change. And I am recommending that restaurants with outdoor dining have an administrative use permit, because I'm going to want to check to make sure that they're not encouraging a public right of way, taking away parking. If it's somewhere else, they're taking away parking. We'll make sure for all that. And we want to make sure they clean up after themselves and they're not doing something that is not safe.
And an administrative use permit is fast, right?
Administrative use permit is relatively fast. It's staff level. It does get noticed, but it is relatively fast. What I have found with every permit is the city moves quickly. It's the applicants that don't. So they might say, I have a great idea. I want to have outdoor dining in my parking lot. And I will say, well, geez, how are you going to protect the people, in the outdoor dining? You just show that it's open air, and they'll take 3 months to say, oh, I'm going to put up a fence. That's what I find is the most
Right, I
the
mean,
time involved.
the time concern for me, and I think we all share this, is, that people are paying rent on a space and they can't get their place open because
Yes.
there's hurdles with the city in their way, which we're trying to eliminate those hurdles, which sounds like what you're doing, which is great.
Yes, I did. Oh, I did change private schools to conditional use permit because wildly they're permitted, but those tend to have significant traffic and parking impacts. So I do think it is something that would warrant a conditional use permit. I'm anticipating we're gonna get a bunch of private schools coming in, but you never know. So that I am kind of recommending an elevation from where we are. But if there's anything else where you want more to be more flexible, I'm all for that, especially for the downtown. It's supposed to have a mix of businesses. We don't have a parking requirement, so that's really where people should want to go because we can allow more uses, but
Great, I like it. I agree with
if
all
you have
of
any other changes, let me know. If you have a specific feeling towards anything, let me know.
I mean, I want to, really applaud kind of the idea of putting in definitions for things. I think everybody's right on that when you're planning to put a business in here, you really want to take a look and say, can I do it or can't I do it? And the way it was kind of subjective. So that's great. Anybody else?
No, I think they're good outlines. And you said this is for all in the entire city, not like the.
It's for the commercial properties only.
Okay.
So downtown and then our other commercial zoning districts. We have suburban commercial and highway commercial. Highway commercial is supposed to be more intense because it's along Highway 49. I extended some of these over into the industrial because I don't know, maybe one day we'll have land zone industrial, but I don't know. But we'll clean it up with that too, just so it's there should anyone ever want to rezone their property to industrial. If you're willing to entertain it too, our current requirement for the outdoor dining in the downtown requires planning commission review, where it could just require an AUP and an encroachment permit from the Public Works Department. That would reduce the burden on business owners too. If that's a whole nother section of the code, it's not here, but
That I would like to.
because that was hard for Nettie's Table. They had to come through planning commission for the bar
Right.
as well as for
Yeah.
the outdoor space.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Cause I mean, that's the thing. Outdoor space is so valued now, and that's where I prefer to eat if it's nice weather, and
Yeah.
I get that. That's a good thing for businesses, and we have the space to do it in a lot of locations. So I think that's
Okay. And it would just be for sidewalk dining. Anyone who wants to operate in the right of way, like parklets that you see, which we don't really have the room anyways, but if we ever went down that path, that would be completely separate.
great. Any comment from the public on this? You guys have any thoughts?
Trying to figure out what I'll back or.
That's the hard. That's the hard part.
That's the hard part, exactly.
We're like, well, yeah, this looks good.
So we do have uses are either permitted or not permitted, and our code works that if it's not listed, it's not permitted. And then if it's listed here, it says permitted, and it might vary from zoning district to zoning district. But an administrative use permit is me. It's faster. Typically, Dana, I think we usually do them in like 10 days, 14 days max. We do notice it, so people are aware of the decision. And then conditional use permit though goes before the planning commission. So the CUP goes before you. It can be much longer because I have the noticing requirement with the newspaper. But then I have to have an available meeting. You only meet, twice a month. And then the staff report requires a lot of work. So it tends to take,
And then it
quite a
can get
bit of-
appealed and that just,
and it could get appealed. I mean, even an administrative use permit can be appealed. We try to work it out if we can. I haven't had anyone complain about any AUP we've issued or even wanted to talk about it, but it does get noticed too. It's not that I issue it and no one is ever aware.
right? But I really liked it. I think this is the good work that the planning commission and the city are doing, and we're glad to have you seeing these things and identifying them and taking care of them for us because it's, your expertise and what other cities do is important. We should be in line with that. So that's great.
I will most likely combine this with our other topic that we have, which is the permit requirements, which are very complicated to understand. And so I'll probably bring that for a study session with the definitions so you can see them, and then we'll roll them all together for the city council. But so you'll get a crack at this, 2 more times. But I'd like to get the permit requirements going because they're very confusing. And I'd like to clean it up so everybody's on the same page and there's no wiggle room. And we're all aware of what requires what permit. And my plan is to make it even more clear about things that both require either staff level or planning commission. It's weird it's a little funky the way it's written right now. Or even I have to read it like 5 times before I can figure it out. But we've talked about that before. And there's a couple tweaks I need to make to conform to the Housing Accountability Act. So we'll just swoop them all together and do it together.
Great. All right. Any comments? All right.
No
Thank you.
comments.
Move forward with that. All right. That clears us out of 8.1. Now we're on to reports. Are there any commission reports?
None.
None.
All right. I don't have any either. Planning director, any updates on any of the ongoing projects? Anything else interesting you've got?
I don't think anything has changed since the last time we talked. I think the applications that were incomplete are still incomplete. The gas station is still a project. I am encouraging them to still do a study session on the design with the planning commission. I believe I've convinced them. They haven't submitted though, so if they do, we will have a study session where we can look at the design.
Great. Appreciate it. All right. On to city staff. Dana, anything?
Not at this time.
All right. Cameron, anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
Great. All right. If you guys don't have anything, thanks for sitting around and hanging out. We appreciate you. And I'll adjourn the meeting at, what are we, 8:37.